So why is everyone moving to Tennessee? Most of us who live in the state have a pretty good idea. Now, I'll admit that there are some Tennesseans who have lived here their whole life and take it for granted, but most Tennessee residents realize just how lucky we are. Now, I was born and raised in Northeast Tennessee, but wound up spending much of my adult life in other parts of the country. I've lived in the bigger cities such as Atlanta and Chicago, plus smaller towns throughout the South. I moved back home to Northeast Tennessee a few years ago, and that gave me what I think is a better perspective than I would have had I never experienced life elsewhere. After moving back, I learned to appreciate what Tennessee offers even more than when I was growing up, and I can give you my honest viewpoint on things I've noticed since I moved back. I'll also share some of the reasons that buyers we've been working with from other parts of the country are giving us as their motivation to move. This video was made for those of you thinking about making a move to our state and are trying to decide if Tennessee might be a good fit for you. Now, our job is to give you some of the reasons why so many people are now moving to Tennessee, not convince you to move here. Kim and I specialize in helping out-of-state buyers relocate to our area. And in the past year, we've worked with buyers from California, Nevada, Arizona, Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, Michigan, Illinois, Maine, New York State and the City of New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. Now, there are a lot of people choosing Tennessee as their new home, and helping them is our passion. We've seen a huge uptick in the number of transplants over the past couple of years, but don't just take our word for it. Let's look at some real numbers. There are several sources we can use that show how many people are coming to the state and where they're coming from. Let's start with the census data. Tennessee, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, is a top 10 state for growth between 2020 and 2021. The South had the greatest population of the 4 regions in the country, and it was the only one that had net gains in the same period. If you use census data from 2019, the number 1 state that residents left that wound up living in Tennessee is Florida, which made up about 11% of the total new residents that moved here. Number 2 was Texas, which was about 8% of the total. Number 3 was North Carolina, 4 Georgia, and number 5 was Mississippi. You had to get to number 6 before seeing California, which only made up 6% of the new residents in Tennessee that year. However, since 2019, there's been a shift. California has moved from number 6 to number 4 as of 2020 data, and I'm going to guess it's even higher now. Another source for migration data, UHaul. UHaul keeps data on their truck and trailer rentals by location. One data point that helps us understand migration patterns throughout the country is one-way rentals. UHaul keeps track of which states people are leaving and which are the more popular drop-off points. In 2020, Tennessee was the top destination for one-way moves, followed by Texas and Florida. Tennessee was only number 12 on the list the year before in 2019, so that was a big jump. Want to know who had the lowest number of incoming one-way moves? California. So California had the greatest number of people leaving, while Tennessee had the biggest number of people arriving in 2020. Another tool we can use to see where people are coming from is a website called How Money Walks. This site pulls IRS data to show the migration of Americans as well as their income and wealth across both state and county lines. Overall, Tennessee has been consistently gaining population and wealth since 1985. If you look at California, the state has been losing both population and wealth yearly, along with Illinois, Michigan, New York, and others. Lately, that loss has accelerated. So where has Tennessee gained its population from most recently? In order, the top 5 states that new residents have come from are Florida, Illinois, Michigan, California, and Ohio. But how about wealth? Not just the number of people that are moving, but how about how much money is being transferred? As you might expect, California tops the list. Although number 4 in population growth, California residents are responsible for bringing the most wealth with them when they move to Tennessee. Illinois, Michigan, New York, and Ohio round up the top 5 sources of additional wealth. So we can see that a lot of people are making the move to Tennessee, but why? That's what we're here to explain. We're going to go over what our out-of-state buyers have given us as reasons, as well as giving you our personal thoughts on why people might love the area so much. The number one reason our buyers have been giving us for moving to Tennessee is higher affordability. Compared to much of the U.S., Tennessee's cost of living is much lower, over 11% lower than the national average. In fact, Tennessee has the 6th lowest cost of living index in the nation as of 2021. Why is Tennessee's cost of living lower? There are several reasons, but a big one is the lack of state income tax. That means residents get to keep more of their money, and property taxes are lower in Tennessee than in much of the country. Often health care and insurance costs are lower as well. And median home sales prices overall are lower also, but of course this depends on which part of the state and which neighborhood you're moving to. Things simply cost less here than in many parts of the U.S., and you get to keep more of your money. Many people moving to our area are nearing retirement or they have retired, so a lower tax burden is very important. Tennessee does not tax retirement income, so this leaves more of your money to travel, start that hobby you always wanted to pursue, or just feel more financially secure in your retirement. Tennessee spends roughly $7,800 per capita in direct general expenditures per year, while the national average is $10,540. To give you a comparison, in 2021, Tennessee's total expenditures were $46.4 billion. California spent $512.8 billion in 2021. For the fiscal year 2022, Tennessee finished with a $1.6 billion surplus, and Tennessee is ranked as the most long-term financially stable state in the entire U.S. Lower taxes and financial responsibilities makes up one part of the second most common reason our buyers have given us for choosing Tennessee, the political environment. Many, but not all the buyers we've worked with, choose Tennessee because they're looking for a more conservative state government. They want to be around more like-minded people and feel less like an outsider. Many of our buyers feel like their state's government is overtaxing and overspending, and I've heard more times than I can remember that they feel like some of their freedoms have been taken away. Some people also feel like they've seen their state decline in recent years with homelessness and crime on the rise. They want to get out. Now, there's no doubt that Tennessee leans towards more conservative ideals. 46% of the population identifies as conservative, 32% consider themselves as somewhere in between, and only 19% would call themselves liberal. But here's the thing. Most people don't care whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or Independent. If you don't ask or bring it up in conversation, you'll probably never know. Just don't try to impose your ideals on Tennesseans and you'll be safe. Tennesseans like their independence and simply don't like someone telling them what they should do or how they should think. Probably the third most common reason we get from our buyers as to why they chose the state has to do with the weather. People moving from the desert Southwest want to get away from the heat. Those moving from the Northeast or upper Midwest, they're sick and tired of the long winters and feet of snow. Floridians want to enjoy 4 seasons again while getting away from some of the humidity. Tennessee's climate varies a bit depending on what part of the state you're in, since it is a long state. For example, the average high in the hottest month is 87 in the Northeast, but 95 in Memphis. If you'd like to know more about the state's weather, like which parts are more prone to tornadoes and where you're more likely to see a white Christmas, check out our video on Northeast Tennessee. But in general terms, Tennessee offers a good compromise when it comes to the weather. It isn't too hot nor too cold. We get to enjoy 4 distinct seasons, and thanks to moderate temperatures, you can enjoy the outdoors for a big part of the year. We typically don't have earthquakes or mudslides, and wildfires aren't very common either. Speaking of outdoor activities, another big reason we love Tennessee and others have told us they want to move here is the abundance of natural beauty and the easy access to it. The state is full of lakes and rivers. If you make it to the eastern end of the state, you'll get to see those beautiful Appalachian Mountains. Depending on where you settle down in the state, you most likely won't be far from state parks. Tennessee has 57 of them spread out from the Mississippi River to the North Carolina mountains. If you want to spend time in the most visited national park in the nation, head over to eastern Tennessee and explore the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Whether you like to kayak, enjoy whitewater rafting, camping, hiking, or just want to be able to take a walk in the woods, you're sure to be close to nature. People love vacationing in Tennessee, which is why tourism is the second biggest business in the state. So why vacation when you can live here full time? There are several other reasons that people give us for wanting to move here too. There are great cities in town to choose from. If you like the big city feel, then you might prefer Nashville or Memphis. Both have active music scenes, lots of employment opportunities, and you can find almost anything you could ever want. You can look at some of the mid-sized cities such as Knoxville or Chattanooga, or if a more rural living environment's what you're after, we highly recommend Northeast Tennessee, where we call home. People are friendly overall. It's very common for people to wave at one another in passing or to start up a conversation in line at the grocery store. People still hold the door open for strangers and say sir and ma'am. Gotta love that Southern hospitality. Besides larger towns, traffic isn't likely to be an issue. I can tell you personally that since I moved back to Bristol years ago, I have yet to be stuck in traffic a single time. And this includes all the time I've spent driving through Northeast Tennessee while showing or videoing homes for buyers. When I lived in the bigger towns, it's a daily problem. It seems like there's always something going on here too. The summer is filled with festivals and fairs, but you can almost always find something to do in at least one of the neighboring towns. Community is important in Tennessee. Simply put, Tennessee gives you a lot of options. Whether you want a vibrant big city or a small town feel, Tennessee's got you covered. You can enjoy all of our natural beauty in the lifestyle setting you choose. It really is a beautiful state. If you want mountains, we have them. Rivers and lakes, you know it. Outdoor opportunities are always close, and it seems like there's usually something to do. But the best thing about living in Tennessee, in my opinion, freedom. Sure, the conservative government means less oversight in many areas of your life, but since Tennessee is more affordable than much of the U.S., this gives you the freedom to use more of your money to do the things that you choose, no matter what your stage in life, and people let you be you. If you'd like to know more about moving to and living in Tennessee, please reach out to us. Kim and I would love to help you decide if Tennessee might be the best place for you. This is Scott Henninger with the Home Team, where we're exceeding expectations, whether it's your first home or your last.